The reason I'm putting this little video together is because we ended up with an MTH locomotive, and it had the infrared control device, and I know nothing about them. I don't even know what to call these things. This is something that's completely outside of my performance envelope. We also had the old vintage Lionel from when I was a kid, right? We had a lot of that around. And we had acquired some Fastrack thinking that might be a solution for grandkids, right? But when we put the MTH locomotive on the track and tried to run it with an old transformer, of course nothing happened. It just sat there and kind of hummed at us, because there's some big changes in technology that happened from the 1950s and 60s when I was playing with trains, and what the toy trains are now that our kids have at their disposal. And the biggest change is simply this: the old vintage trains, the speed of the locomotive was controlled by changing the voltage to the track with these big old dials, right? You want to go forward, you give it more voltage, and you put more voltage to the track, and they go. You know, you take voltage away from the track and it gets slower. So here I am being an old man, having these as a kid. One of these drops in my life, put it on the track, and I wind up the voltage and nothing happens. So a little research later, I realized that, well, things have changed, like I said, and it needed this device to send signals to the track, and it needed constant voltage at the track. So these old transformers, they don't really work as well. Well, we're going to change that. The new transformers are like this one right here, where basically they put a nice steady 20 volts to the track with a nice waveform and all that good stuff. You send little signals through that track with this device, and the way you tell that device to send signals through the track is with this handheld IR remote in this case. Now there's newer ones with Bluetooth and all kinds of stuff. This is a bit of an older setup, but the fundamentals are the same, and the big difference being that there is nothing between that locomotive and the track. More voltage means more power to the locomotive, which means it goes faster, where on this thing right here they put some intelligence between the track voltage and the functions of the locomotive. That's the big difference. And I'm telling it what to do. It simple functions with this guy here with that interface right there. So I'm like, man, that means I can't run those things on my old tracks. And I figured, well, geez, there's got to be something to let me run the MTH on the Lionel FastTrack. I see it done at the store and places like that, so it's got to be something simple. Well, I looked online, I looked at YouTube and all these places where you'd get that kind of information, and I didn't see one thing about running the MTH on Fastrack and blending the MTH controls to the Lionel FastTrack, other than adapters and all kinds of crap on the track. Well, I didn't want to spend another $50-100, so I spent 50 cents and did this. This right here, if you look at the way it plugs into the real track, that goes to your center rail, and this one goes to your outside rail. And I just blended that with the Lionel FastTrack, where the one that has the white stripe goes to the center rail, so I'm assuming it go to here, just a pure wild ass guess. And that one went to the outside track, so I put it to where this one would go to the outside track on the MTH branded track. And guess what? It works. Watch. Neutral. forward. A little more speed. You got to point it right at that device, and there we go. So with this situation right here, I'm getting 18 volts to that center rail, and the intelligence on the locomotive is distributing it to the little electric motor on there based on the commands that I'm feeding through this device right here, telling it to either add or subtract voltage to the motor that's on board. Of course, the locomotive has the 18 volts to work with. Right now, that interface device is metering something less than 18 volts, obviously. And that's the big difference, whereas old Rocky over here, I'm going to tell it to go. I'm going to give it more voltage. So let's just run this for a little bit. There you go. 50 cents later, I got my MTH control plugged into my Lionel FastTrack.